Good morning, everybody. How you doing? This is Johnny B coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. It's gotten a little bit cooler out here, and it's windy. But we had a beautiful day yesterday. It's supposed to be up into the 70s on Saturday. I'm really excited about that. So I'm getting so ready to do the spring planting. I've got some peas in the ground just to see if they would come up, but it's been cold. We got a big old snow last week. Today I want to talk about no-till garden. 3 years ago I converted my garden into a no-till garden, and I just wanted to tell you what I'm doing in case it might help you convert. First of all, I want to tell you a little bit about why. I've studied a lot of information. There's a lot of information that tells us about the food web. And what that has to do with is all the flora, the microbiome, all the little bugs, bacteria, and little living creatures that live in the soil. And they call that the microbiota. And also funguses that live in the soil, and all these things, and and then on up to the worms and everything in between. The microscopic and worms lives in our soil, breaks down rotting matter and turns it into food for the plants. That's kind of a basic idea of what we're talking about. And so this bottom picture is a picture of when you use a rototiller, which I've done for years, until the last 3 years. And if you see this dark line here, the rototiller can only go down 6 or 8 inches depending on how big it is. And over the years, you see the fluffy stuff at the top. Boy, when you rototill your garden, it just looks beautiful. It's fluffy. But over time, at the bottom where the tines end, you start creating a very hard layer of soil called the deadpan. And this really inhibits root growth, and also it really, when you break up the ground like this, it really disrupts the living creatures that are in the soil that really you need to help your plants grow. So this is the old way, deadpan. This is not the best way, and if you think about, in the old days they plowed. Plowing and rototilling are two different things, and so we can go into that another time. Okay, so this sketch up here is how I have my garden laid out. People that market garden and are skinnier than me, the 2 foot right here, that is my path. I'm a big guy, so I made mine 2 foot wide. And then I measured 3 foot, and that's my row. So what I did is I went down about 8 inches and dug down. I laid out my paths and my rows with string, and then I dug down 8 inches, and then here on the row I put these clumps of dirt, grass down, because you want the grass to die. And I kept piling up the dirt. Okay, so once I had this row here, this path, I filled it with wood chips. Now this does 2 things for you. This makes a nice clean path for you to walk, but also when it rains, the water has a chance to go down here and fill up. And the other thing it does is your plants that are going to now be on top of your rows, their roots can migrate down and get to the you're going to use your water more efficiently. You're going to hold water so that the roots can come down and drink the water, but you're not going to have you're giving your soil up here a chance to drain, be well drained, so you don't rot anything. And so I've laid out my garden to where I have paths and rows. Now, once I get my dirt humped up on these rows, I take a broad fork which is an awesome tool. Everybody needs one. And I go down and break up the soil, which does not disturb the biota in the soil, but it does allow oxygen, and it breaks up the dirt a little bit and gives you a head start. Now, on top of this, I'm going to turn the page. So I hope that gives you an idea how it's a lot of work to get started, but it shows you. Now, once I did that, I don't ever have to till again, okay? I've got my... This is just a drawing of what my garden looks like. On the end, I have a Back to Eden garden, which is basically just really thick wood chips. It's a test, and I'm pretty impressed right now with that, but that's for another discussion. But these are my rows, and then, of course, the paths are in red. But what I wanted to show you is that once you have your rows and you get them broken up, you want to mulch really heavy. Mulch just as heavy as you can. And year after year, this mulch is going to turn to dirt and break down, but it's also going to inhibit your weed growth. And it's going to hold the moisture, and at the same time, it's going to release, as your mulch breaks down, it's going to release your minerals and vitamins back into the ground, gives the worms something to eat, and so you're continually feeding your soil and building your soil over time. And for the first few years, you might want to go and broad fork these rows, but over time, and I've seen it, I've seen videos of other gardeners who do this method. Over time, that soil begins to be much richer and looser, and I've seen it in some areas in my garden already after 3 years, where I've added composted manure and a lot of compost and have mulched it with leaves and straw. I'm starting to see an impact already with the soil being more fluffy. Not so. We have a lot of clay here, and so that's one of the things that I'm trying to do is loosen the soil naturally. So anyway, this is how I have incorporated my no-till garden. And once you do that, then as you number your rows, you can then start alternating your crops or rotating your crops. And so we'll go into that at another time as well, what the benefit of that is. So anyway, I hope that this is helpful for some of you that are contemplating changing up how you're doing things. You know, it's a lot of work in the beginning, but then over the years it's less work because your soil gets better, weeding gets easier over time. The weed load becomes less because you're not turning up the soil and exposing seeds that are buried even from years and years and years ago. And so it's just a really, and of course if you're not tilling every year, it's a lot less work. And you're using all your composted material as your mulch. You're feeding your soil. You're feeding the biota. You're not disturbing the worms or the biota in the food web. And to me, it makes a lot of sense that this is the way to greatly impact the quality of your garden and your harvest. So anyway, I'm Johnny B. Thanks for joining me. I hope you've gotten something out of this. I'm going to continue talking about gardening because it's my passion, but I do want to encourage you guys. You're special. You have everything inside you that you need to be successful and to live a happy life. And if you want to talk to me about anything, if you need some encouragement, I'm always here. You can PM me. You can comment to this video. I respond to every comment. I've got a blog coming up that I'm working on, a garden blog and a website. It's still under construction. I'm really anxious to share that with you. And anyway, I'm here for you. I love you. So as always, dream big, work hard, love large, eat really good food, take your vitamins, and be your best self now. See you tomorrow.